My people, the man the world can't stop talking about, Africa's favorite revolutionary, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, has just sent a shockwave across the globe. He did something bold, something unheard of. He expelled the UN's top official from Burkina Faso. Why? Because of a UN report accusing his government of child recruitment, sexual violence, and attacks on schools and hospitals. Yes, you heard that right. And Traoré's response? Pack your bags and leave. Now the world is split. White heavy checkmark critics call this a dangerous sign, silencing watchdogs, blocking accountability. White heavy checkmark supporters say this is history in the making. An African leader standing up to foreign powers, refusing to let outsiders dictate the narrative. But for Traoré, this isn't just criticism, it's war. Because narrative is power. And Africans have seen this movie before. Visionary leaders discredited, undermined, and erased, sometimes by bullets, other times by stories that destroy their legitimacy. So what exactly happened? Let's break it down. The flashpoint. On August 18th, Burkina Faso officially declared the UN resident coordinator, Carol Flor Smeregzianik, persona non grata. Translation: she's out. The trigger? A report titled Children and Armed Conflict in Burkina Faso, covering July 2022 to June 2024. It alleged 2,483 grave violations against 2,255 children, child soldiers, sexual abuse, attacks on schools and hospitals. The report blamed both sides, extremist groups linked to ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and local defense groups aligned with the state. Traoré's response? Total rejection. His government dismissed the report as biased, lacking evidence, and damaging the country's image without context. According to them, the UN didn't consult Burkina Faso, didn't present proof, and rushed to judgment. So with one statement, the government slammed the door on the UN and told its top official, leave now. Why this matters? To Traoré, this isn't about silencing criticism. It's about sovereignty. The government argues the UN dropped a damning report without giving them a fair chance to respond. And for a nation fighting jihadist insurgents, rebuilding infrastructure, rolling out free healthcare, and restoring hope, this is more than numbers on paper. This is about credibility and survival. Because here's the truth. Burkina Faso has been at war with extremist groups for over a decade. The stakes? National survival. And when the UN frames your government as a violator, you risk losing local trust and international support. For Traoré supporters, expelling the UN is an act of self-defense. It's a declaration. We will not be humiliated. We will not let outsiders write our story. We will stand tall. The bigger picture, history repeats. This isn't just about one report. This is about history. For decades, African nations have accused global institutions of interference, using reports, sanctions, and narratives to control outcomes. Think about it. IMF and World Bank policies crippled African economies for decades, yet the blame fell on African mismanagement. Leaders who resisted, Nkrumah, Lumumba, Sankara, Gaddafi, were branded radicals, destabilizers, threats. Many were overthrown, some assassinated. So when Traoré says these institutions don't see Africa as an equal, when he argues their words weaken his government's legitimacy, he's drawing from a very real, very painful history. That's why many Burkinabe see this not as rebellion, but as correction, part of a growing African movement saying, we'll tell our own story on our own terms. The other side, but let's not ignore the critics. They say this is the same playbook used by leaders who slide into authoritarianism, expel those who raise hard truths. Back in 2022, Traoré expelled another UN rep for raising concerns about instability. Now it's happening again. The latest official, Carol Flor Smeregzianik, isn't just anyone. She has over 20 years of experience across Africa and the Pacific in conflict zones and development programs. Her credentials are strong. Critics argue that expelling her signals Burkina Faso doesn't want accountability, especially when civilians are at risk. The nuance. Here's the reality. Traoré has every right to make decisions in his country's interest. Sovereignty cuts both ways. If Western nations can expel diplomats for far less, why can't an African nation do the same? But, and it's a big but, could this have been handled differently? Maybe the UN should have presented its findings privately first, giving the government a chance to verify and respond before going public. The question we must ask. This is bigger than Burkina Faso. This is about Africa. Do we want Western institutions to referee our disputes, monitor our elections, and validate our governance? Or do we want to build that capacity ourselves, even if it means standing alone? Because we can't have it both ways. Calling for the UN when there's crisis, then rejecting it when the spotlight turns harsh. Every expulsion, every rejection, every intervention adds up to one defining question. What kind of relationship does Africa want with the world? Now over to you. Was Burkina Faso right to show the UN the door? Or was this a dangerous move that could harm vulnerable people? And bigger than that, should Africa keep depending on outside institutions, or finally build the muscle to solve our own problems? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's have this conversation. And if you believe in African stories told with truth, power, and intention, subscribe, share, and join this community. I'm Sandra B. Ebuating. Until next time, stay woke, stay powerful.
Da. Cara. Ui, cara.